Howdy, folks. Welcome back to another episode of, what are we calling this today, Leroy?
Well, I think, I can't say.
We're calling it late in the morning as usual. Now, we do have a special guest with us. Did you want to introduce us to her, Leroy?
She's in charge. So I'm gonna let ladies first. So I'm gonna let Andi introduce herself. I've got to be able to talk to her for the last couple of weeks. We've been messaging back and forth through our busy schedules. So I really don't have much to say besides she seems very nice to me. So Andi, it's all on you.
Hey, my name is Andi, and I am the Resell Chick. I've been selling on eBay for 6 years and started after I was laid off from my job. And as I'm looking for other jobs, my significant other had started dabbling in retail arbitrage and things like that. And so I was helping him. And then I decided I wasn't going back to work, that I was going to do this. So that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years.
Wow. Okay,
So you've been doing it full time for 6 years?
Pretty much. Yeah. I've had some part-time jobs here and there just to, and until we started making, decent money. But we have replaced my salary, and so we're good.
Nice.
That's always the first question people say is, when did you want to take that jump? So it looks like you kind of did that right away.
Yeah, I did. I was in loss prevention. I was a loss prevention manager for Sears, and they laid everyone off. And then they closed their stores. But I didn't really want to go back into that. It was getting very dangerous. And at the time, I was in my early 40s. So I'm like, I'm a little too old to be chasing bad guys around.
Yeah, but I can picture you like just smashing somebody on the ground. Andi, I can just picture you running up to somebody like, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. That backpack? Can I see it? No, I can't." Just grabbing them. I can see you doing it.
Yes, we were not allowed to touch them, but we could touch the merchandise. So I would grab bags. I would just grab them, and I didn't care.
And you're not even supposed to do that anymore.
No, you're not really, but I did it anyway. Because they weren't leaving with my merchandise. They weren't leaving. So yeah, so it was getting very dangerous. So I decided I didn't really want to go back into that. My former career, I did hair for 25 years. And I really didn't want to get back into that either. So I'm like, I'm just going to make it work. So I just started watching tons of YouTube videos, reading articles, just doing all the research that I could do to find out the ins and outs and all of that. And of course, still made a ton of mistakes like we do. And so I just made it work.
6 years ago, so you're talking about a whiles back. Why reselling? Why did that jump out at you? How did you fall into that, or did you have a background a little bit in that already?
Not at all. I didn't have a background at all. I had a background in hair, and I had a background in catching bad guys. Like I said, my significant other, Anthony, we're just gonna call him Anthony. He's not my husband, but we've been together for 13 years. So I don't know what to say. I don't know what to call him. I don't like the term boyfriend.
Anthony's good.
But yeah, Anthony. So Anthony, he had on Reddit, he was reading it on Reddit about retail arbitrage and all of that. And I actually had been flipping furniture. I love like rehabbing furniture. So I was buying these pieces on Craigslist and redoing them and selling them. Somewhat. We had done some Amazon return auctions, bookcases and dressers and nightstands and that, you put them together and you sell them. Yeah. So we had been doing that while I was working. He has a full-time career. He works for Chase, JP Morgan Chase in the mortgage industry. And he's still full-time. And so he was doing this, and we had gotten some things, Target clearance. We had gotten some Walmart clearance, and the stuff was selling on Amazon and eBay. And so that's what I was just like, this is fun. I like this. I'm going to do this now. And he was like, okay.
And I always ask, what part of the country are you in? You don't have to give us a town or a city, but a state always helps.
I am in Columbus, Ohio.
All right. Okay. Nice. Nice. So it seems like, I mean, you got your cold weather. So flea markets and stuff. If you source that way, could be a little. Oh, you have a down season because of the winter. What
Yes.
do you what do you like to like? Where do you like to source, and what do you like to source?
Well, I really like yard sales the best. And yes, we have a very short yard sale season. It's usually between May and maybe early October, but usually September. So it's a lot shorter than, some places in the country where you can do it all year round, or at least 9 months out of the year. We have probably, I'd say 6 or 7 Goodwill stores. They're not the greatest. I've seen some Goodwills like on videos that are amazing. Ours are really trashy. So we have a couple of locally owned thrift stores. There's one about 20 minutes away that's it's like a church-owned thrift store. They have great prices. I can usually find really unique items there. So I really like to go there. I do a lot of free stuff. Like I have friends that give me stuff, and I put ads on the Nextdoor app. Just saying, if you want to get rid of stuff, if you're spring cleaning or you're done with your garage sale, don't take it to Goodwill. Call me, I'll come get it, or send me a message and I'll come get it. You get a lot of junk that way, but I've found some really great, they're not found. I've gotten some really great stuff that way.
Okay.
No.
And there seems to be a huge, like, I don't know, I've talked to and I've seen a lot of people on YouTube from the Ohio area. I don't know if it, like you said, if it's just not your local area, it's not great, but I guess you're pretty central. Do you travel out a little bit, or?
I do. I've been to Cincinnati a couple of times. I don't like driving to Cincinnati. It's about an hour and a half. I would say about an hour, 15 minutes, hour and a half. But I would go to Dayton, which is probably another about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half, but it's a lot easier drive. Yeah. So Dayton has, they have a lot of Goodwills. They have a Valley Thrift, which is usually a little higher price, but on holidays, they have a 50% off sale. So you can usually find some really great stuff there. Here in Columbus, we do have an outlet. We do have a Ben's store. I don't care for it. I've been there a few times. It's really dirty, and it's just crazy. So I just don't know.
Yeah, I have a couple of those over here.
Yeah. We have it's called Volunteers of America. It's charity based, and their prices are really high, but they do have 50% off days. We don't have any Salvation Armies that I'm aware of. The one that we had closed. So yeah, going to Dayton, there's a town on the way to Dayton called Springfield. That's actually my hometown. There's a couple of thrift stores there that I'll stop when I'm visiting my mom, or they have a St. Vincent de Paul that's pretty decent. So yeah, I don't like thrift stores. I do go to thrift stores because, you need inventory, but I prefer yard sales. And like right now, I just went to my mom's and filled up the whole back of my car.
Oh yeah.
With just like my grandmother sold Avon for like 50 years.
Okay.
So when my grandmother passed away, we bought her house. My ex-husband and I bought her house. So everything went in a storage unit. After 7 years, my mom let us go through the storage unit. She said, if you clean it out, you can have whatever you want. So we had a bunch of stuff. My mom still had a bunch of stuff at her house. So I have tubs of free stuff that I am now going through that I am loving. Yeah.
Nice. That's something because I was happy with me. So hello. all from sports guys going on now.
Sorry, Leroy. I'm not sure if that's me or you, but it kind of came in a little choppy there for like a little bit there.
Cutting out a little bit.
Are you still there? Okay, you might have frozen up. I think what he was saying was I caught flipping sports guy in there, so I'm pretty sure it's just thanking everyone for being here. So I appreciate that. I'll thank Leroy for everybody. Thank you for being here this morning. And so going back to, I guess, the Ohio area, I'm always interested in how people figure out, because it looks like you've kind of fallen into a lot of inventory, shall we say? I mean,
Yes.
so, I mean, the stuff that you found, I know you said it was like tubs of stuff. Is it stuff that you're enjoying doing, or has it led you to other things? Or are you like, no, I'm not interested in this type of inventory?
No, I don't feel that way at all. I like anything that sells.
Yeah.
I like anything that's going to make me money. There are things, when we first started, it was men's clothing. And why men's clothing? I have no idea. That just seemed like what I knew. So men's denim, Levi's and up, like
Yeah.
Levi's at the time, Lucky's were huge, Diesel, that kind of thing. So we did a lot of that, men's clothing, men's suits, men's dress shirts. Men's suits are so long tail for us but that's what I knew. So little by little, I would branch out into some women's clothing. I had a really good friend, I have a really good friend, but she moved to Kentucky, so we don't really see each other as much anymore. She is hard goods.
Okay.
And I learned a lot about hard goods, and we hadn't sold hard goods until I got that storage unit, and there were hard goods in it, and then I just jumped into it. There was ephemera, like antique and vintage paper, cards, postcards, that kind of thing. So I learned a lot about that. I watched the Auction Professor.
Yeah.
I think is his name. Yeah. Watched a lot of him. And then all of this, like I said, Avon. Not all Avon is lucrative, but the vintage Christmas does really well. And my grandmother hoarded this stuff. There's just so much of it.
Let me ask you a little bit about Avon. Sorry to cut you off. Because I had a friend that was he found a bunch of Avon. I don't know if it was a Goodwill or a thrift store or something. And he started selling it. And then they came after, like Avon, the company came after. I think he was selling on eBay or Amazon. I don't know. I think it was eBay. And have you seen anything like that with Avon specifically? Or
I have not.
Okay.
So was he like veroed about it, or?
I think so. He basically said they came after me and they said all your items have to be taken down. Anything, because the way he described it is that I guess Avon is you get a license to sell and this and that, and he wasn't.
Well, yeah.
He didn't have any of that. So
when you sell Avon, say I'm an Avon representative.
Yeah.
I am not allowed to sell on any other platform. They'll deactivate my account. Okay. But as a person that is not an Avon representative, I have never heard of that. If you look on eBay, there's a ton of Avon. So I don't know, maybe they get mad about some things and then go after,
Gotcha.
Random people. But I've never had any problems with it. And like last Christmas and the Christmas before, we sold out of all of our Avon vintage Christmas. They're like little decoration items and things like that. But like one of the advent calendars, it was just like this little tree with, I think, a snowman. And for each day, you would put in an ornament on the tree. And that was like an advent calendar. Okay. $100. And it went to the UK.
Nice.
So yeah. So things like that. They don't all sell like that. Like I said, there are some Avon things that, like those little collectible, like perfume bottles used to do really well. I don't think they do it very well anymore. And I don't have any of that. Now, old perfume itself, like I have a full bottle of this perfume that's vintage, I don't know, probably from the 70s. And I comped it out and they're selling for like $70, $75. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I haven't listed any of it. I have it right here just to do drafts before I take pictures. But yeah.
Because speaking of drafts, you're on quite a few platforms, correct?
Yes, I am on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace. We currently don't have anything on Amazon right now.
Okay. Okay. Are you cross-listing any of that stuff, or is it is it kind of individualized per platform?
Yes, I don't cross-list everything. Clothing, I stick to eBay, Poshmark, Mercari. Some home items I'll put on Poshmark, but usually it's eBay, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace. Just random, say, small appliance parts, because I do part out small appliances. I will put those on Facebook Marketplace, Mercari, eBay. eBay is where I list everything. Everything goes on eBay.
Yeah.
And then from there, I just decide where I think it's going to sell better. And yeah.
And
then
go ahead, sorry.
No, you
and
guys
then
go
I'll
ahead.
list it on those platforms.
Because you are full-time, what is your, like, I mean, everybody has a goal. What is your daily average or goal that you try to list? If we had to say, just, you said eBay is your main platform. So do you try, how many do you try to get up on eBay daily? Do you not do daily? Because there's so many different, everybody's like has their own little method.
Yeah. I do daily Monday through Friday. I don't always list on the weekends. I try not to work on the weekends. Anthony works a lot of hours. He works from home for now. So I try to spend as much time with him as possible on the weekends. We do like to fish. We do like to, go do things. So that's one great thing about this business is I am free to do things like that. So Monday through Friday, Monday is usually YouTube. I have 2 YouTube channels, this YouTube channel, and then I have a personal YouTube channel that is like girly stuff, makeup, hair, my eating habits, that kind of thing, lifestyle. And so I usually do YouTube on Mondays. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is drafting, pictures, listing, but I try to list 5 more than what I've sold. So that day, if I've sold 8, then I try to list 5 more than that. If I've sold 10, I try to list 15. I want to keep adding to my store. I want I have about, I want to say about 1,200 listings right now.
Okay.
And I want to keep adding to that. So by listing 5 more than what I've sold, I feel like I'm constantly adding to that.
And then
it doesn't always work out that way.
Oh yeah, no, it never does. Something always comes up. I'm similar in a sense that eBay is kind of my base too, and I kind of shoot very little on Facebook Marketplace, Mercari, Poshmark, very little. So which one is your secondary? Because I know eBay sounds like your base. If you had to pick a secondary platform for you or for your inventory,
I would say probably Poshmark.
Okay.
I have the second highest number of listing on Poshmark. I'm not a fan of Poshmark. I'm not really a fan of Mercari either, but I do sell on there. So I guess I'm a fan of anything I'm selling on. But Poshmark, I don't do all the whole social aspect. I don't share my closet 3 times a day. I barely share it once a week, maybe once a month. I don't know. I don't share it a lot. I just don't have time for the social aspect of it.
I'm in the same exact boat. That's whenever it says Poshmark, I hold my tongue until I hear what they say. And then what you just said right there is exactly why I don't like Poshmark. But, to each his own.
I feel like I sell things for a higher price on eBay than I do on Poshmark or Mercari. I get a lot of lowball offers on Poshmark and Mercari. And I get an attitude when I get lowball offers.
I think we all do a little bit. I mean, if you got a $50 item and you get a $4 offer, like, come on now.
Yeah.
And I get that all the time because I do a lot of clothing too. So, but I mean, actually, getting away from clothing, because something you said earlier I thought was interesting. You said you parted out appliances or small appliances.
Yes.
Do you have a specific type of appliance that you do, or is it kind of just like what you have and you kind of just break it down?
Yeah, it just depends. I try not to do things that don't have a lot of parts on them, say like a Keurig. A Keurig, basically, you can only part out the reservoir and like that little platform that the coffee cup sits on.
Yeah, that it drips into.
I just sold a reservoir, but I bought a stainless steel Keurig at, I want to say, a yard sale or a church sale. I can't really remember. And it was really nice. It was nicer than the one we have. So I was just going to swap it out with the one we have, and it didn't work. So it got parted out. But like, I really like things that have a lot of pieces. I have done a lot of food processors. So you can part out the bowl, the lid, all the different blades, the stem, the disc that the blades go in, you know, all of that. And then also juicers. I've had a good experience with parting out juicers, like vintage juicers. And I think the thing with that is, you know, they used to make small appliances really, really well.
Yes.
And now they're kind of disposable.
Oh,
so
gosh.
someone that had even a Hamilton Beach in the 1980s, they like it. They don't want to go buy a new one that's going to last them a year. So they want, you know, if the blade broke, they just want to replace the blade for, you know, $15-$20 or whatever.
It's funny you said Hamilton Beach, because I think I've sold 3, I guess they're electric or cutting knives in the last couple of weeks I picked up. One of them was missing a blade. One of them was like the plastic part was, So no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But that stuff.
I really like that. And I learned that from, like I said, the friend of mine, her actually, she has a YouTube channel. It's Socially Awkward Sarah is the name. And she taught me so much about flatware, about parting out hard goods, about things that you wouldn't think would sell. Like you would just go right past them in a thrift store, but they actually sell. So I learned a lot from that.
You know what I've been doing really well with, and I mean, it's, you know, it's not a secret, but when you go to a lot of these estate sales and stuff, you'll see that vacuum in a corner, and you're like, oh goodness, not another vacuum. Well, that vacuum's dirty, or vice versa. And the heads, the hoses, the extension cords, the on-off switch, there's money in those. You can buy that vacuum and sell it on eBay for $38, or you can take 15 pieces off that vacuum and sell it for $10 each. You do the math. Most people act like they don't have time for it, but let me tell you something. It's hilarious. I met a guy that, this was years ago, before I met anything with YouTube, before I met anybody. It was in the beginning, before I met like this community. I had a very small circle of YouTube people, of eBay people. They weren't even YouTube. They were eBay people. And we would just talk through the messages in eBay. There wasn't like a YouTube community. And I met this gentleman, and he said everything he gets for free. He gets fans, microwaves, coffee pots, dehumidifiers, all the stuff that you're saying. And he would pot them out. And he was retired. He said he would go to Florida he was able to go to Florida for 2 months out of the year just off of his eBay. And he put everything at $14.99. Everything was $14.99. And this guy was making a killing. He'd get a fan out of the trash for free. And he would take the extension cord off. He'd take the front cage, the back cage, the propeller, the motor, or whatever was broken on it. Usually it's something similar. Like you said, it's a throwaway community now. But so it really wasn't that bad. Whatever was broken, people just don't want to fix anything. And this guy was making a killing, and I don't mean to cut you off. It was just, you say that because I remember that story. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, and I totally agree. And you were talking about, you know, the vacuum in the corner. Well, that's when they used to make vacuums that lasted 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Now you go buy a Dirt Devil vacuum and, it lasts a year, maybe a year and a half. Although I did find that you may think that it's broken, but if you change the belt, it's like it's brand new.
Speaking of vacuums, I cleaned for years, and what I do is with a brush is I cut all the hair, and I know it sounds gross, guys, but we all get hair in our vacuum, dog hair, rug pieces, and I trim it like every couple months. I'll flip the vacuum over, clean out the hoses, and you'd be surprised how much longer that helps it last.
It really does. I mean, look at this. This gets everywhere. So. You got to give the vacuum a haircut every so often because it's bad. Yeah, we have a dog and my hair, is everywhere. So, yeah.
Vacuums are good. I mean, I don't know much about vacuums, but if you find a Dyson, even parts of a Dyson, I mean, you're not talking about $10, you're talking about $50, $100. And I remember I used to have a couple of friends, like Leroy, I think we were like 18, 19. They used to sell these things door to door, and they were not cheap.
Yeah. Oh, no.
And this is like 20 years ago, so.
You're saying the rainbow and the Kirby's. That's what I was thinking is
Kirby's. That was it, Kirby's.
The rainbows and the Kirby's, you get pieces. I did find at one of the Goodwill stores that it was just a big tote that had like hoses and stuff in it, and they were for a Kirby. And I'm like, I'm all over it. It was just sitting there, and I'm like,
how much did they charge you? Like $20 for it, if that?
Yeah. Those Kirby's, those guys were funny. I mean, they would sit there and they come and clean your carpets for you, and then they'd set. I can't even remember how much they were, but they weren't cheap.
Oh, back then they were like $1,200.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about back then, like 20 years ago.
Yeah, the 90s. I remember this is probably like 1998 or something like that. But I remember this. So I mean, yeah.
I see some more people stopped in. Well, how are you? Sure. I messed up her name. Celestine. She's gonna kill me. She's gonna message me on Instagram, be like, "Really, Leroy? Really?" Celestine, what's going on? Who else jumped in? There was a few more. Jersey Corner Store.
Yep. Paul, Flipping Sports Guy. Jennifer Hayes, as always. Thank you.
Yep.
Thrifty Junker. Topher, Hyphy Gold. And this guy, Blood, Sweat, and Sales. What's his name? Leroy. I don't know who this guy is, but anyways.
He sells toys.
I want to say, hey, to Thrifty Junker, my girl, Dina.
Thank you for being here.
And you have this platform for as long as you can today. So if you whenever you need to go, please feel free. We don't want you to leave, but whatever I know you probably have a busy schedule.
It said live listing. I got stuff here. So
I ain't listing nothing. I took some pictures. I'll list later on. I got a flea market tomorrow that I'm gonna do. So I got to get my van ready for that. I'm switching vans, taking the smaller van tomorrow. So I got to get that all set up.
So the small one's the white one, or the red one's the bigger one? I always forget.
The small one is the red one. The white one is the big one.
It's a blood red van. Is it an interior too, right?
Yes.
That's the scariest thing I've ever met.
Not the seats, but all the inside is all red.
That's so funny.
A Criminal Minds van.
I got stuck on the color. I used to like the color black and green. Money for green, and then black. And then when I started getting into myself, like my name, I started liking red. So I have like red cords for my phone and
his eBay listings. He has like a vinyl blood red background. It does pop. I gotta say, it does pop. But when you look at it, I'm like looking through the listing. He's like, "That's mine," and it's literally all red. And so I guess it works.
If you go into and you were saying something about the potting out the old mixes and blenders and stuff, even if they work potting them out. And it's funny, Mo and I was going through this. So Mo does toys. I think you know that I do tools. And once in a while I'll sell other things. So I found the G.I. Joe train set. And it was 90% complete from I'm from 1983.
I was jealous.
And I tried to put it on listed it for about a year ago. I tried to list it all together, and I got no hits. And I was in the middle, like I'm not a high baller, like I'm like almost more as a low baller, to be honest with you. I just want to move the stuff and make money and get to the next piece.
Yeah.
And didn't get no hits on it. Pulled it off, took it all apart, pieced it all out. Andy, somebody messaged me last weekend and said, "All right, I see that you have all of them. I want to put it back together. I want to buy it." So my red background, I was telling Mo, it actually stood out because when he went into G.I. Joe trains,
he knew they were all yours.
He knew they were all mine. So I was proud of myself.
That worked out for you.
But
yeah, that's a great find.
No, I've heard that somewhere else though, about exactly what Leroy did, how he parted it out, because I forget who it was, but a lot of times people, maybe they do need a new mixer, a new whatever. They don't want to pay for the whole thing though if they just need a new blade or that reservoir or whatever it is. So
exactly.
Well,
and back in the day, they were way more expensive too.
Yes,
but
definitely.
Everything just worked better. Everything was just better.
It lasted.
In our age, we're all the same age. We're all around the same age.
The one I always ask people, and I've never got a yes yet. Maybe somebody has a store. You remember those TVs that were encased in wood? Like you could sit on them, you could stand on them.
Oh yeah.
Everyone had one, right? I'm waiting for a reseller to make a video like I sold this TV. I mean, maybe Facebook Marketplace or something, but I haven't seen one of those in a while.
And it's funny. Well, before I moved, you live in Ohio, so I believe you live sort of almost near the city, like in a city area. Mo lives in a city. I'm
just right outside of a big city.
And I grew up in Rhode Island in the city most of my life. And my ex-girlfriend used to be like, why is somebody buying an old hammer or, like you said, a switch for something? And I said, well, here's the thing. I didn't know this until I moved. But I said, people in Scooby-Doo, Pennsylvania, that's my favorite saying. I don't know if there's one, but I always say it. Somebody in Scooby-Doo, Pennsylvania lives far away from everything, and they have to live dollar for dollar. So they could go and buy a switch for $13 instead of going to Home Depot and buying another vacuum for $38. And that was before YouTube. Now with YouTube, you can fix anything. You don't need. I saw a lady that was on YouTube that her best friend went to hair school. She never went to hair school. She watched, I think she said, a month and a half of training how to do hair on YouTube. And she went and passed her test, and she's a hairdresser, all for watching YouTube. And her best friend went to school and paid $5,500.
I think it's the future. It's the future. People like us are going to be relics. People who went to school. It's going to be. I mean, trade schools are going to come back. That's something you don't hear much. You didn't hear much about before. That kind of stuff. I mean, why not? I mean, there's so many different things, like as niches of niches of niches. I always say, but
I'm all about trade schools. I think trade schools are great.
Why not? I mean, it makes perfect sense. It basically, if you think about it, medical school is a trade school. Right? Yeah. I mean, you're not learning about being a lawyer. So, I mean.
But they just jumped up.
My daughter's in nursing school. So.
Exactly. Perfect example.
The sad thing with the trade schools is, and this was a little bit after we all graduated, probably in the 2000s. I didn't graduate in 2000s. I graduated high school in the early 90s. But they jumped the trade school prices up so high that's the thing that bothers me is there are trade schools that are 19-month, 20-month courses, and they're $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. And I just think that's so sad. They jumped them up. So I remember when I was a kid, you could go to the most expensive one near me when I graduated from high school, and it was like $2,500. And that same school now is like $20,000.
Yeah, and it kind of depends on the state. too, because I have some friends that are in all kinds of trades, like in real estate. Not even, I wouldn't call it real estate. They like appraisal, I guess. And it's not even just the schooling, but I think the apprenticeship is what takes a while. And it's like 2,000 hours, 5,000 hours. I mean, it's a long time.
Oh yeah. And
then you're doing that while going to school, while most likely working, because if you haven't finished your apprenticeship, you're not doing that thing, right? So, I'm sorry, I cut you off there. Go ahead.
Oh, you're not fine.
Okay.
I was when I did hair, you had to have 1,800 hours to get your manager's license, and that was, you couldn't be alone in a salon without the manager's license. And I think I paid, and this was 1995. I think I paid like, I would say 2,500 or 3,200.
Yeah.
For it. And yeah, nowadays I'm sure, I don't even know what
20
it is.
20 grand.
It's probably all up there. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, everything has I've heard that like a lot of these even tech companies have their own, I don't know what they're called them. Like Google has their own school for this or that and the other. And I think it was, who was it that said I think it was Google that said they're not going to look at college degrees anymore. They're going to give you an exam, like a written, like you're taking a test in high school, which I think is actually kind of cool.
I think that's great.
Yeah. If you can do the stuff, why not? Why do you need to pay 150 grand or whatever it is these days?
Right. I mean, you can have a 4-year degree, but do you really know any more than this guy that has been working in that trade for that how many years? I mean, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But, I personally would rather have someone that has the experience than, I have a degree in this. That doesn't mean anything.
That was me trying to get a job for the first, 6-7 years. Every single person said, yeah, you have a degree, but so what have you done? And I couldn't say anything. I'm like, well, not much. I worked at a college bookstore. And I'm like, oh, wait, we're not a bookstore though. So yeah, exactly. But I think this kind of makes us, like, all the stuff we're talking about, kind of builds us. Like, I've noticed a lot of people pushing towards reselling based on these exterior things. Like Leroy has a different background. I have a different background. You have a different background. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed any of that helping in terms of what you're selling or is it just kind of helped you be more open-minded in general?
Yeah, I don't think that anything in my background has really helped me. It hasn't given me any kind of knowledge for what I'm doing or, the things that I'm selling. But, just, I think age, I think, you've been around for a while, these things just from there's a lot of nostalgic things that are coming back.
Oh yeah.
And so then someone sold some strawberry shortcake dolls for some ridiculous amount. I saw it on Instagram and I was like, I can smell that picture because I remember exactly
I remember those too.
Like. Yeah. So, those kind of things. My stepbrother, but my brother has still the entire Star Wars collection original from the 1970s. He has everything. And he won't let me wear it because he's like, you're going to steal it. And I'm like, yes, I am. I said,
I'm going to steal it and sell it.
Yeah. I was like, do you know how much money you have sitting here? He's like, I don't need the money. I'm like, ah! And my family says that about me. My family says, don't give it to Andi, she'll sell it.
That's what my family says.
I don't have emotional attachments to things.
That's good. That's a good thing.
All of my grandmother's stuff that I have here, I'm okay with selling it because I would rather someone else enjoy that thing rather it sitting in the back of a closet for the last, my daughter will be 20, so 18 years. My grandmother's been gone 18 years. And I just found all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't have emotional attachment. I have certain things that I keep, I have the outfit that I brought my daughter home from the hospital in when she was born.
Yeah,
I have a couple of things. I have all of her photos from school. That's it. Grade cards. I think I have report cards, but that's it. I don't have emotional. I have emotional attachments to people.
Yes.
And not things.
Yep.
So I'm okay with just selling it. Just sell it.
I keep it down to 2 large Rubbermaid bins. I got 2 Rubbermaid bins. That's it.
Your personal stuff, you mean?
That's personal stuff, and that's it.
Yeah, for me,
Yeah.
I don't
used to
care.
think
I have
that
no
I didn't.
attachment to it.
Yeah.
I used to think I had attachments to stuff until I started reselling, and then I started looking at the stuff because I used to have a lot of old like comic books, and even though I didn't read them, and toys and that kind of stuff, and I'm like, I don't really care about this stuff. I think I kept 2 things, like literally 2 items, and mainly pictures, like you said, like photographs, like because that's something that I don't know, that means something.
Yeah, photographs I think are different because those are irreplaceable. You will never find that photo. Shoot, I just had a thought. I don't know. Keep going.
No, when you said photographs, one of the coolest things that makes me excited in terms of stuff I want to keep is if I find an old camera, like those old Instamatic, like Kodak cameras that was mine or my wife's or something like that, then I'm like, okay, let's go to Walmart. Let's go. Like half the time it's like, all overexposed or whatever, but still every now and then you'll find something that makes me, that would be the one thing I'd say, okay, I want to keep that. And then I think because my mom, she used to make all these albums. I don't know if she would constantly be making albums, these photo albums, like big, thick things, which I know and nobody really does anymore. But I mean,
no, I don't think they do either because they're all on their computer. And so I have a ton of photo albums from when I was younger, and from my mom's house, when I was really little. I have some that my dad gave me before he passed away last year, and those are something that I will keep for the rest of my life because those are memories in a book.
Sorry, this comment just cracked me up. I have an emotional attachment to my death pile. I'm so emotionally attached. Sit back.
Jake, I know you do, Jake. I know you do, Jake.
That's good stuff. No, I do not have an emotional attachment. I always say this. I have a death garage. It's not a death pile, which is it's not good. But no, I'm thankfully I'm not attached to much of it. Even stuff that I thought I was. But I mean, on that same thought, this is what that I'm thinking. The idea of nostalgia, right? We're of a certain age, but kids that say in their 20s now, they don't. And I don't think they'll ever understand what that is, considering because we're not attached to this thing that they are attached to. Right. Maybe we are, for talking to each other, but that's their nostalgia right here. Anyone born in the last 20 years, I guess. So I'm just wondering if the idea of nostalgia is not going to be a thing for reselling in the next, 10, 15 years. Once we get bored of selling the stuff or get too old. I don't know, what do you guys think about that? Is that going away or
I think, well, I mean, I'm not down in the little the kids, but there's so much instant gratification now that I don't think that there will be there will be some people, like some old souls, that are nostalgic for the show that they watched when they were younger, or the song that their mom used to sing to them, or whatever. But everything is instant gratification. Yeah. So I don't think there's going to be as much. Like, I'll be going down the road and hear a song that I haven't heard for 20 years. And, you know exactly where you were when you heard that song the last time. Or a smell, you can smell a smell. You're walking through the grocery store and you smell someone's perfume or someone's cologne or something, and that triggers a memory like that.
Jacquard Noir. So yeah. So
I do I don't have sentimental attachments to things, but I do get very nostalgic for shows. We don't have cable. We canceled cable years ago because we don't watch TV. But there is a show on the antenna, or there's a station that shows older shows. And we were watching Three's Company the other day. We were just sitting there watching Three's Company. And I was laughing, and I'm like, oh, this was the best.
It was.
Yeah. And Anthony is the exact same age as I am. So he's a couple months younger than me, but we were born the same year. So we have the same, nostalgia about things.
Oh, yeah. I always say, for me, because I remember not having a computer, not having a cell phone. And then I remember, obviously, I have one now. So I think that's the difference. If you can remember, like, really, I'm not talking about, I remember seeing it. Like, remember going outside because that was the only thing to do. Like going to the mall to buy something because you couldn't go online. Not having using a payphone. That's another one. I remember using payphones all the time, like calling, collect, like getting for a ride, calling, say, hey, this is, and then hanging up before you have to pay to get a ride home from my cousin, whoever. And then, so that kind of stuff, that's the kind of cutoff for me. If you can remember that stuff, then maybe you'll be more nostalgic.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And then the other thing that kind of scares me a little bit, maybe I'm going off subject here a bit, but, obviously the internet's huge. And like you said, binge watching stuff, people, you're not going to watch one, you're going to watch 7 seasons in a row in a weekend or something. And then you're done with it. So there's no attachment to that because you can't remember when or what you were doing when you're watching that. And then 3D printers and people, because I sell a lot of t-shirts too. So I sell t-shirts from the 80s, the 90s, even the 2000s. And people are, buying these. They'll buy like a white t-shirt with the tag, like 50/50 tag or something. And they'll screen print. They'll buy my shirt, screen print it. And then there's 50 of them online, just like that. So, yeah. I mean, it's anyone that's I'm not really a big t-shirt seller, but it's happened to me a couple times. I had a t-shirt, I think it was a 98 Chicago Bulls shirt, new with tags. They bought it. And then like 6 months later, I went online and I saw 3 or 4 of these things. No tags, but it looked identical. And there's no way. This was not a very marketable shirt. It wasn't a big shirt. But I've seen it happen. Right. So.
But it's nostalgic because it was back in the day, like the single stitch made in the USA.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that just really disappoints me that you said that, because that makes me mad that people are doing that. That's so and like you said, 3D printers, you can print it pretty much do anything.
They have stores around here. Like I walked into pre-COVID, I remember walking around the store and it had it said 3D print your face onto an action figure. So you can 3D print yourself. So you give them a photo and they do it, and you walk around and it looks like, a Barbie doll or like, a G.I. Joe, but it's their generic whatever. So, I mean, I guess that's very cool, but like you said, it's very like instantaneous, very now. I don't know, it kind of feels soulless in a sense.
I agree with that. Anthony and I have a war between keeping things and throwing things away, or not throwing things away, but keeping things and selling things, or keeping things and donating things. He has always been a keeper. And I mean, we have boxes of Motor Trend magazines from the 90s that he's like, I don't want to get rid of those. I'm like, why? What are you going to do? You're going to look up a Mustang from 1988? Because I say that because I have an 88 Mustang in my garage nice. That's his. And but recently he's like, I think I'm okay with starting to get rid of stuff. And I'm like, yes, because that just, I don't like clutter. And we have enough clutter. Leroy and I were talking earlier, like on before we came on, about storage. And I have a room downstairs that used to be a family room, and it's full of my hard goods. And it's hard goods and some clothing, because Anthony built 2 huge clothing racks for suits and formals and things like that, which I'm hoping to get rid of soon. But then I have the basement is where all my clothing is, like my regular clothing. And then my former dining room is now, that's where I do my photos. It's where I ship and all of that. So that's 3 rooms that is taken up by this. And then this room used to be my daughter's room. And I've made this kind of into my YouTube studio office type thing for YouTube. And I finally got him used to the idea of downsizing our stuff so that we can move and get a house, maybe a smaller house, but that has a barn or outbuildings or something, because I want my house back. I want my dining room back. We don't really use it. We didn't use it that much, but I want it.
Yeah.
I want to have friends over and sit at the dining table and, talk and eat food or something. I don't know. We can't do that.
You don't want to walk through your house and show your friends the nice scores that you got from the thrift shop instead of showing them your new dining room couch?
No.
Look at the
on the way
wrench I got. This wrench.
On the way back to our deck, we have to walk through that back room. And I'm like, I don't want people to see that.
Yeah.
They don't understand.
No, they don't. You get the the non-reseller eye roll. Like, if you ever have a kind of a lucid thought about reselling, or you talk about it, like we would talk like this, and then to a non-reseller, you get that eye, like, huh? Oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. Can we talk about something else now?
Yeah. Yeah, when I first had that conversation with some friends.
I don't know how many times I've done that.
Yeah, friends are like, what do you do? I sell other people's junk. They're like, what? What do you do? And so I'm a reseller. I sell things that people don't want anymore. I get them from thrift stores, and they're like, you get jeans from thrift stores and sell them for like money? I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I do. Yes, that's exactly what I do.
Like, oh yeah, I've heard of eBay. Yeah, I used it once. Like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. They bought a whole t-shirt from there.
Until they see your 90 days, which, I love when these people show their 90 days and they don't realize that 50% of that you only get 50% of that. I don't care who you are. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the average is, maybe if you're good at it, you're getting 65% of it.
Yeah.
But that's about it. But it's still, though, when you show them your 90 days.
No, I didn't get that far. I don't think I've gotten that far with anybody. If you talk to someone who truly doesn't know what you're doing, I don't think I get past like eBay, or I sell stuff online, and then it's kind of like, oh, do you need a job? I know blah blah blah. The manager of this. And no, I'm okay. No, I'm good. Yeah. Thank you. And then it goes quiet for a bit, but no.
Yeah. Like I was doing some part-time jobs. Like every once in a while I'll shop for Instacart, or I was actually working for Kroger. I don't know if you guys have Kroger, they're the grocery store.
Yeah.
From 5 a.m. until 9 a.m., just 4 hours a day, like 3 days a week, shopping for their online pickup, just for extra money, like my own money to blow. I have a makeup addiction. So like me spending money on that kind of stuff, I want my own money for that, because I don't want to use the money from the business. I don't want to use any other money. That's my own money. So every once in a while, I'll just go like Instacart for a couple weeks, and I'll get a few $100s, and then I'll go blow it. And, but the business is our livelihood. And like I said, Anthony still works a full-time job. He works 60 hours a week. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
They
I don't
don't
think I've
understand
ever. Oh no.
that you can make a living.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, until I'd say June or July, about a year now, I was never full time. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, but I was never. Always had other things I was doing, other businesses or other this, that, the other. So I always tell people, if you can do 10, I mean, if you can do that, that's the other thing.
Mhm.
Can you actually do them, or are you just kind of dabbling in 10 different things? I'm a bad multitasker, so I can do lots of different things. I can't do them at the same time. So,
Yeah.
So once, yeah, I don't know how good you are with do you do a lot of things at the same time, or?
I actually do. I'm not maybe not the greatest at it, but I attempt it just because I have a lot of stuff that I need to get done. But one of the things that I've loved about staying home is, not having to work outside the house was my daughter, being home when she gets home. She's got, she was in ROTC, she played soccer, she had all this stuff that was going on, and I was able to take her wherever she needed to go until she got her license. And so like that in itself, being available to be a parent is great, because in her earlier life, I worked a lot of hours and I missed out on a lot of stuff. So I think that makes it all worthwhile. Even, if say when someone switches to full time and they have to like severely cut their budget back, at least until, the business starts rolling. But I got used to multitasking when I was first staying home, and like I made cakes for people. I did senior pictures because I do photography. So I did that. I did haircuts on the side. Anything that I could do to make a little bit of money so that I didn't have to go to work.
Gotcha.
So I had I had my hand in lots of different areas.
It's amazing isn't it amazing that you can do that? I mean, I guess it's the reseller cliche in a sense that we say, oh, you got your freedom, but you really do.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Because I know with me and my wife, I think combined, we probably worked 100 hours a week, maybe 120, who knows? Just maybe 2.5 years ago, not even that. And so it's completely different now. Now we're both basically home. And we got the kids, because before the kids were in daycare, I want to say, when did they get off? Around 2:55, something like that, till 6 every day. And then you don't really get home till 6:30. They go to sleep within an hour and a half. So how much time is that? 5 days a week? Get an hour with them, maybe.
Yeah. I think that's so important. I really liked Anthony being home. I think they started working from home probably April of last year, maybe. Now there's talks that they are going to go back, which I'm not happy with, but I've been able to spend so much more time with him, and I think that's important. It's important to have conversations about whatever, about what this person at work did, or you read this article and this is what you think about it, or something, just some kind of, and with your kids too. Your kids come home from school and you're like, hey, how was your day? Tell me something that happened in your day, or whatever, to get that dialogue going. Because like I said, for the longest time, I worked late nights, and, and I wasn't always there to tuck her in at night and that kind of thing. So this has just really been, it's been great. It's been great. Now, could I go and get a 40-hour job and make more money? Probably. But I don't want to. We're comfortable, and I'm okay with that.
I mean, it's funny that you just said that, because I remember I'm trying to remember the conversations. It would usually be a tired, okay, can you hurry up and get in the car? That would probably be the first thing I would say to them. And they weren't even that big. I'm talking about like 2nd, 3rd grade. So I feel bad looking back, like you just don't have the energy, and kind of like me, I never had much energy, but I mean, and then they've been at a daycare with who knows who for the last 3 hours after their school.
Yeah.
And, it's, yeah. I mean, yeah, we're thankful that we can do this right now. So
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't do anything else. I really wouldn't. I really enjoy it. There are days where I don't really want to do anything. I just want to sit and watch YouTube all day or Netflix or whatever.
yeah.
But if you've been working, all week long and you're like, okay, I'm going to take today. I'm going to take today for myself. We have that luxury. We can do that.
Or if you want to work all night, if you want to say, hey, you know what, I got a couple of things to do today, but I'm, like you said, Anthony works a lot. So you might be, hey, you know what, I might be able to work tonight till 12 o'clock, and I use this show. I used to try to get some work done, and I still do. But I use this show as my little midday break, because I get to the warehouse usually around 7:30, sometimes 6:30 in the morning. So I have 3 hours to get my pitches done and stuff like that, and then I have time. Usually after the show, I'll do my shipping. So and I could stay up all night if I want. Like you said, I've worked for the man. I hate saying it, but I did. I worked for the man, and you're there for, and then you of course we still pay our taxes and stuff, but it just seems better when you bringing it in instead of they're taking it from you. It never seemed right. It just didn't seem like my numbers were adding up, and now it seems like my numbers add up. And I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Everybody jokes around like you said, Andy, my family, their friends, they don't understand like what I'm doing. You're actually recycling stuff. You're actually keeping stuff alive, because it's going to go in a landfill. The Goodwill in them, they talk about us buying stuff, but do you realize how much money they make from the plastic recycling, the clothing recycling, the wood recycling? They send trailer trucks a day out to these companies. They will take all the toys and they will melt all the toys down. The metal goes on one side, the toy, and then they sell all that all that plastic back into the industry. They're making more money on that than they are on us.
Oh yeah. Goodwill is making so much money. I mean, the CEO, you can see her salary if you look online. They're making so much money. I tend to not want to donate to Goodwill anymore. I would rather donate to something locally owned. There's, like I said, the little church-based thrift store that I go to about 25 minutes away. I would much rather donate my things to them than Goodwill, because I don't even like to shop at Goodwill. The prices are ridiculous. Like I said, too, it's dirty. Like the ones around me are so, like I was watching a video the other day and it's like, I'm going to go to the 2 Goodwills that are closest to me. And hi, Ella.
Hi,
and
Ella.
How's it going?
And video. I'm going to take a video because I don't think people believe me that this place is trashed every day. And I don't want to go in there.
Yeah. This is a store or the bins or both?
The store. Ugh. The actual store. I mean, like the electronics, they're just thrown on the shelves. There's no rhyme or reason. I was watching Dixon's Picks. He's a newer guy. His name's Marcus. And he was at a thrift store. I thought it was a Goodwill, but he said it was a church-based thrift store. But this thrift store was so super organized. Everything was in its space. They had like bins with cords in them, nicely wrapped. Yep. And I'm like, where is this? Because this is not my thrift stores. The church based, it's an Amish based. It's really nice, and they have really, really nice things there.
But I've heard a lot of the furniture is pretty good. Like I don't know if it's Amish. I don't want to say the wrong. Like
Amish furniture. Well,
yes.
like they're there's Amish area, Holmes County. I think it's probably about an hour north of me. And then Plain City that's where the little thrift store is. It has Amish there too. Their stores that have their furniture is very well made. It's very, very expensive.
Yeah.
It
will
is.
last forever. It will last forever.
That's handmade stuff, though. So I mean, yeah.
Yes. When my dad and his wife would go up to Amish country every year, they would always come back with some large piece of furniture. Like one year it was like a porch glider thing, a kitchen table and chairs, a hutch. Like they would buy some big piece of furniture every time they went, and it's all well made. And it's been 20 some years, and it still looks brand new.
Yeah, it's funny you said about the thrift stores. It's weird. California, you see both. You see the completely trashed, like there's a bins. I mean, I don't like the trash, but I think it's near Santa Cruz, and it is horrible. It literally looks like somebody opened up a barn and just threw stuff in there. Yeah. And it's hot, and it's just, I'm not a big fan. And then in Sacramento, I think it is, there is, I guess, one of their boutique stores. So they try to make it look like a Gap. And it's like got the music going. It looks nice, and it doesn't smell bad. But everything, like all the video games, are like in these big hard plastic things. Like remember the old Warehouse Tower Records? It looks almost like that. So I guess I don't know. It depends on the company of Goodwill. I guess they're different by region or whatever.
Yeah, I was watching someone, Bearded Thrift Machine, I think, Julian, and he went into a boutique. Like a Goodwill boutique, and the prices are even higher there, but it is a nicer place. Like it looks clean and everything is organized, and they have like the nicer things there. And I'm wondering, I've always wondered, well, within the last year or so, because our Goodwills used to be great. And like the one that I would go to the most is fairly newer, but probably the last 7 years since we've moved here, but compared to the other one, it's newer. But like, I'm wondering if they hold all of the really nice things and put them on the online auctions.
I think there's a lot of that going on.
There's nothing of value in there. Like
I think,
clothes, any of that. Toys, there's nothing of value in there.
What I've seen, I don't know if this is correct or not, because you've had Goodwills that have been around for like 20, 30 years, and you got the brand new ones. I think with the brand new ones, what they'll do is they'll grab stuff from all the other stores, and they'll have like a month or 2 weeks where like, oh, this is the greatest place ever. But then if you go there 6 months later, it looks bare, even though it's brand new. And like you said, Goodwill, I don't know what they call it. It's Goodwill what? I forget what it's called now.
.org or is it .com or .org?
Yeah, Shop Goodwill. That's what it is. I think.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm advertising it. But anyways, they have all the stuff. And my biggest pet peeve, if we're really going to go there, is with them is obviously they can't do all the shipping because they're all from all over the country. None of the Goodwills do shipping. So they go to whoever. And half the time, if you get anything fragile, be careful. That's what I would say. I mean, if it's a shirt, you're probably fine. But like, I used to get a lot of action figures, and they would bend the things just to fit it into whatever box it is. I'm like, oh, this is a vintage '78 Star Wars figure that you've just bent the entire thing over just to fit it into an 8x8 box.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. They just want their money. They don't care.
And like you said earlier, a lot of people don't realize, everybody thinks, oh, the only place I can source is yard sales and Goodwill. And like Andi said, you guys got to pay attention, because you can if you're not sneaky, you could talk to your family members. You could talk to the lady behind you at Dollar General if you're nice. And sometimes they'll say, oh, what do you do? And like, I do. I can come and look at your stuff. them. Sometimes I buy in bulks if you need extra money for Christmas. I've gotten picks that way by just being friendly in line at Walmart. And people are like, oh yeah, yeah, I could use the extra money. I've told people about, just their kids' shoes and stuff like that. So there's so much stuff out there. Andi said she went to her mom's and she came back with a car full. She could go to her sister. She can go to Anthony's parents' house. If you explain to people what you do, what you do, you can get a lot of stuff cheap. And you could pay them too. Give them the money.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a decent, it depends on the thrift store. And I've actually done this at a Goodwill too, not around here. But if you speak to the manager, the assistant manager, half the time they want to get rid of stuff too. It kind of depends if they're corporate or not. Usually if they're small or local, because they don't know where to take the stuff and put the stuff a lot of times. Especially if it's not like your high-end stuff. The high-end stuff they know what to do with, but the glass, if you're into glassware, if you're into electronics, kind of bigger, bulkier stuff, if you can talk to them and say, I'll take this if you can, give me a discount. Because I think I bought half a pallet of old makeup and health and beauty products. They were like little not sanitizers, but like lotions and all this kind of stuff. But it was like the packaging was broken. You know how they come in those display units? They were crushed. So they didn't know what to do with it. They're like, we're going to throw this out. I said, I'll take that entire box. Can you give it to me for like $20? They said, no, we can do 35. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. I just threw out a number. Yeah, they're going to throw it away. But they're like, yeah, well, I guess it made them feel like they were making a deal.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. And I'm the worst negotiator on the planet. So if I can do that, anyone can do this. So,
yeah, I'm not real big on, I feel weird. I see people do it all the time at yard sales. I just never know what to offer. Now, I did a couple weeks ago, was a yard sale, and she was moving to Hawaii. So she was an older lady moving to Hawaii. She wanted to get rid of everything. And I picked up a Bosch universal mixer, which I didn't know if I was going to part out or not, and threw it up on eBay as is until I decided what I was going to do, and then sold it for $230.
Nice.
Or maybe $225, but still a nice. So it was that, and then a heavy cast aluminum pressure cooker canner, and sold that for $250. But she had one for 12 or one for 15 and one for 25. And I asked her if she would take 30 for both. And she said yes. So
nice.
Within a week, I sold the one for $250 and then the one for $220 or $225. And I paid $15 for each of them. The Bosch mixer, I was like, it had everything with it. And I'm like, am I going to part this out? What am I going to do with it? Because normally I would just part it out.
Yeah.
But then I comped it online, and I'm like, wow, it's going for quite a bit as a whole.
Yeah.
So, well, I'll just put it up there to see. We'll see. And it sold within a week, and I was like, all right, well, that's cool.
Do you have a break-even point when you come to make that decision? Like, okay, I've got this mixer, but maybe let's say it wasn't worth $200. Maybe it was worth, what's your break-even? 75, 100, 150, or?
Around 75, 80. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I want. When I'm parting things out, I want to be able to make at least that much.
Okay.
Because that's worth it. It's worth it to me. Yeah. Now, if I get the thing for free, I might be willing to go a little bit lower, as a whole. But I'd say about 75 or 80.
Because what I've noticed I don't know if I try and part something out or if I don't, but if it's something like that's vintage, people have these alerts set up on eBay. Sometimes within like a minute, I'll get an offer, and it will be not a super low ball offer, but they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It will be like, 45% of my price, 50%, something like that. So not kind of in the ballpark of something that you would let sit, but not sell immediately. So it kind of depends on the thing. For me, I always have to make that decision. Like, do I want to sit on something? And it's usually based on how big it is. Like if it's taking up too much room, like, okay, this thing is going to sit here and take up this entire half a shelf, or I can get rid of it like within the first day. So I think there's people out there that do that. That's kind of, I don't know if that's sniping or like kind of, they're just sitting there ready with their alerts. But
yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that, you know, they'll have alerts set for certain things. And I know, because, you know, when you first list something and it has one view in like 3 seconds, you know, I think that that's definitely alerts that people have set up. Yeah. I'm very stubborn. I'm a very stubborn person. So if I know how much something is worth, I have a really hard time taking that lower offer. Now, I'm not talking lowball offers, because lowball offers just make me mad. And if I have something for 35 and you're going to offer me 10, I'm going to come back at you with 34. Yeah. Because I'm petty like that. But, you know, I have a really hard time if I know that I'm going to get at least this much. You know, I know a lot of people are all about the flip. And I think that that's great. If that's your business model, that's great. Just keep it moving, keep it moving. And I know there is something to say about quantity instead of, you know, quality. But I also am in the profit business. So I want to make sure that I'm making as high a profit as possible on any given item. Yeah. I'm really stubborn with, I'm like, no, I'm not selling you that for, but then you come to be, okay, is that $3 really going to make a difference? Sell the damn thing. Yeah. You know, sell it. Just get rid of it. You can get more, you know? So that's where I have an internal argument with myself, is if it's worth keeping around for the extra $5. No, it really isn't. Now, $15, $20, that's different, but $5, $7, just get rid of it. And that's the problem that I have. I mean, it's funny. It works both ways, because when I source, and I did a lot of sourcing online in the last year, more than I've ever done, I would do that a lot. I wouldn't lowball, but I go in at like 40, 50% of whatever it is. And I would do that specifically if they had more than one thing I wanted. Like, and also if they didn't sell a lot of those things, like if they have like 99% clothing and then they have like one action figure or two, I'll just offer for both. So I see that a lot. Every now and then I'll have somebody say, you know, I'll take this, and this. What are you going to take? Like, can I get it for them all for $100 or something like that? So those, I have to make it the first thing I'll do is I'll go and see, are there any more listed? Like if there's 3 listed on all of eBay, then I'm like, probably not. But if there's like 100 of them, then I'm like, okay, maybe that makes sense. Yeah. That's where it is with me. How many of them are out there? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's silly. Maybe I shouldn't be thinking about it that way. I should just get rid of it, turn and burn. But that's kind of how I think about it. Because I know Leroy is more of a turn and burn kind of person. Just get rid of it. Yeah. I wish I were more like that. Like, I wish I were not as stubborn with my prices, especially Poshmark. Oh my gosh.
Andi, just let it go.
I know.
Just let it go. I bet you I could fill up my vans. I have 2 vans. I could fill up my vans at your house 5 times and you'd still have inventory for the rest of the month.
I would too.
Yeah. And that's just, you know, that's just some internal fight that I have with myself, is just let that shit go. Let it go. Because
we all have that fight.
More. Yeah. And, you know, I'm just so stubborn. Oh my gosh.
My good thing is I do the flea market. And so I do the flea market probably about 3 times a month. Honestly, it's probably about 5. It's become about 5 days out of the month I'll do the flea market.
You sell it?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Stop. Because you're making me laugh. Not you guys. I have company over here.
Now you're confusing us.
Yeah. No, I sell at the flea market. And So I literally will do dollar tables, 50-cent tables. I did one last Monday, and I had 3 rows of 50-cent tables, and was just blowing stuff out of the water. And still made, I didn't make a ton of money, but I made good money, and I was getting rid of stuff. Because like you, I have this gig with an estate company, so I get a lot of stuff for free now. And I don't want to give it to Goodwill. I rather sell for 50 cents. And make that couple bucks out of it, then give it to Goodwill, and then they make $4 on it. I'm not cheap, like I give to everyone, but or I'd rather give it to another reseller at the flea market that is below me.
Sure. When getting the free stuff that I've gotten from the Nextdoor app, there are brands, mostly it's a lot of clothing. I'm finding things that I wouldn't normally pick up or I wouldn't normally sell, but I'm selling them, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay because I get it for free. So I'm okay selling an Abercrombie sweater for $15 because I got it for free.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be my business model, because I don't want these things that I get for free and I sell for a lower amount. I don't want it to hurt my average sale price.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to go down a little bit just because I'm willing to let go of some of this for a cheaper amount. There were all of these Old Navy jeans, but they were all the same size. So, and some of them were distressed and, all of that. So I just lotted them together because some people will buy denim for like crafting.
Yes.
So like a craft lot or whatever. So I think I have a lot of 3. I have 2 lots of 3 and then a lot of 4. And, for like $20.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that because I got it for free. So whether I put, a lot of 3 or a lot or 1, it doesn't really matter. So I'm okay with letting it go a little bit less than that. And there's a lot of baby clothes that I have never sold before because I just don't want to deal with that. So lotting it together, that's all the same size. These are all boys' clothes, size 18 months or whatever. I'm just going to lot the whole thing together and sell it on Facebook Marketplace, probably eBay, maybe Mercari, but I'm not sure. Definitely Facebook Marketplace and eBay though. And so that kind of thing, I don't mind lotting all of that together, taking a couple of photos, putting it up there for say $30 for 25 pieces of clothing, Yeah.
With clothing, I mean, me personally, I've done this with t-shirts this year. I had a lot of stuff that's been sitting there, and I checked the inventory, how long it's been there. Some of the stuff's 18 months, 2 years. I'm like, okay, this is not moving individually. So I did exactly what you just did. Lotted them up. I didn't do huge lots. They were generally like a 5 to 8 piece, 5 to 9 piece, something like that. But they moved. They started to move. And I'm cutting, 20, 30% or whatever, but individually. But there is, I mean, I know, some people don't like to turn and burn, but it's more moving to, it's also moving to get room, moving to actually recycle your money.
Right.
That's another thing I see. I mean, no, I'm the last person. I'm the cheapest person. I'm the last person to want to give you a discount on something that I think is worth more than it is. But at the same time, I only have X amount of room. That's another thing. And then extra mental space too. Like you said, clutter. I'm really good at making things cluttered, and I'm trying to get away from that. So
can you do a YouTube video on that for us?
I could do the best YouTube videos on how to make things as messy as possible. I would make the best videos.
And I know I know that we're going to, I'm sorry, Andy, I keep cutting you off.
No, go ahead.
I know we are going to be cutting off probably at about 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay.
And I always try before the end, I always try to appreciate the guests that we have. Andy, I really appreciate you. Honestly, I want you back.
Awesome.
But I know that you're very busy, but whenever you can, because I have a lot of questions. I still
Okay.
have a lot of questions to ask you. Just a lot of things you mentioned makeup. I know you have another channel, and you mentioned about makeup and stuff. And I know you had to do a lot of stuff, on your own when we were in COVID and stuff. And then
Yeah.
one of my other questions were, you are sort of in the boat that we are, as you've had an account longer than 3 years. There are probably 400 people on this YouTube right now. No offense to any of you guys in the chat, but you guys never had an eBay account before 4 years ago or 2 years ago. Never even had an account. So those are other topics that I would like to talk about with someone that is sort of in my in my same area. So I'll let you guys continue talking, and I apologize. My wife is actually here heckling me, and
Oh, that's what it was.
she never comes to the warehouse, so she's over there heckling me, but she won't come on camera. So that's why if I look distracted, I apologize for that.
Nice. No, I just wanted to thank Andi, because we're going to be coming up on our time here in just a little bit, and then definitely we'll see if you'd be interested in coming back on again. So I think we got a lot to talk
Anthony
about.
though. I want Anthony. I want Anthony too.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate you reaching out to me and asking me to be on. I really appreciate that.
I want Anthony too.
Oh yeah, that probably won't happen.
Well, you tell him that Leroy said he put a shout out for you, but I told him no.
The other day, I was on a live. We were doing a live listing, Thrifty Junker and Treasures Noir and Miss Taffy. We were doing like a Death to the Death Pile live listing, and the other night, and Anthony walked by, and I said something about maybe he'll come on at some point, and he was like, "No."
It's a tough thing to do. To be honest, I mean, I'm awkward as heck, and just being on camera is not easy. So I don't blame anybody.
I've had the opportunity.
I started my other channel before I started this channel, and it kind of, I mean, it's a complete mess. It really is. But I mean, it's it's real life. It's just real life, and I'm just me. I'm not trying to be anybody else, and it's just for fun. It's for fun for me. And so Anthony had been telling me for years, you should do reselling. You should do reselling. And I'm watching these resellers, and I'm like, no. And then finally I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. So I did it. Nice.
That's kind of how you kind of have to do that. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you for doing it, because that was how we were able to meet you. So
thanks. Thanks
Absolutely.
so much.
And then we've had that running here. So hopefully you guys go and check out Resell Chick. And it's Resell_Chick on Instagram, right? Because I think
Resell_Chick, yes.
Chick. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Instagram's picky about that kind of stuff. But we're going to have you on. Speaking of Miss Taffy, she's a guest. Okay, nice. Thanks, Jen. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to cut it here, but we're going to see if we can schedule sometime in the future. And then,
absolutely.
This was cool because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody in the chat that's here right now. Noelle, I can see Dana, Jen, who else? And anyone that's still here.
I think it's most of us that didn't go to the rally.
I see that.
Absolutely.
I think it's most of us that haven't gone to the rally. I noticed in the last couple of days that everybody's numbers are down because 50% of this community that we're in, our little niche, is all going to the rally.
Yes.
So I've noticed that numbers are down.
The rally is an hour and a half away from me, and I'm not going. And I'm really.
I was going to ask you. I'm mad too.
I really wanted to go, and I just
kept procrastinating.
I just didn't go. Yeah, I mean, and then they opened back up, and I talked to Anthony about it, and I'm like, I just didn't want to go. I wanted to go, but I didn't want to go.
There's so much back and forth with it because I remember immediately sold out, and then COVID hit, and then it had this back and forth thing, which is weird. So I kind of gave up on looking it up, and then apparently there were tickets at the end of it.
Yeah.
So
this weekend, my dad's birthday is this weekend, and we lost him last year, and so it's the first year without him on his birthday. And I was just like, you know what? It's going to be a bad weekend, and I just don't really want to be around people. That was basically.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm sorry to hear that, but
yeah, and that was one of my other questions, but we'll get into that. But thank you so much, and I personally appreciate, and I know Mo appreciates you.
I do.
You're super awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I really appreciate you reaching out to me, and I was really excited to do this. So I thank you for that. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
And so how many listings did you get done?
0.
I can't hear you. Wait, what'd you say? I didn't hear that last question. I think I'm cutting out. I'm breaking up there.
How many listings did you guys get done?
No, I can't hear you.
I have my laptop open and everything. I got my bin of stuff, but no, I didn't get any done.
No,
Andy, when we cut off, don't cancel out.
Okay.
Just wait. Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys. We're going to cut it here, and we appreciate you all, and we will see you next time. Have a good one.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
See you
Have
guys.
a great weekend.
Have a great week.